I remember this show from way back in the early 2000s called Coradeen's Candelabra. It was supposed to be a children's show, but even with my advanced vocabulary at 6, I could still barely pronounce the title, let alone grasp the show's material. Being without cable, we used rabbit ears to get TV. By rabbit ears, I mean the antenna, not the actual rabbit ears, although they would probably get better reception. One of the few channels we got was a network called Spriggan TV, which showed many sitcoms and cartoons during all hours of the day. It didn't have any commercials except at the end of each show, with the credits sped up alongside the first commercial to be shown. Some of the sitcoms it had were Friends, Seinfeld, and Hogan's Heroes. Until recently, it didn't strike me as odd that this station had the license and the permission to use these shows, since it had some original stuff to show as well. One of those original shows being a cartoon called Coradeen's Candelabra. I really don't know why I didn't think about the shows on this before now, because this show was seriously messed up. I went online to search for the show after a recent conversation, which left me wondering about both the show and the taste of head cheese, if there was any persecure, but there are literally no results for anything related to it. I even looked up Spriggan TV, but could only find things in German, and upon trying to look over them, I saw that these sites had nothing to do with the network but a common name. Frustrated, I went to YouTube to waste some time watching the Oddcast and some other stuff. Even curious, I typed Coradeen's Candelabra into the search bar, and got nothing. No hits, no episodes, no clips, nothing. Not even YouTube had anything. I was at a standstill in my search. Until my mother brought me a couple certain VHS tapes about a week later. I asked what they were, and she answered, "It's that show you keep looking up. I never saw you get to see it, so I asked around work, and my friend David said he'd recorded the episodes a long time ago. Apparently it's a pretty hard-to-find show, so you should thank him sometime." Well, I was astonished. I took the tapes and went to my room to watch them, eager to finally sate my curiosity. There are 14 episodes of this show, each 20 to 25 minutes long. I'm only going to go over the 3 that made me the most uncomfortable. The introduction to this show, accompanied by rich, somber piano music, is a rich couple leaving their estate, a huge mansion with many expensive things on display. Their daughter, Coradeen, a red-haired, pale-faced child, almost like Ginger. She looks like a younger version of her mother. Anyway, she looks sad at their departure. When they've gone, she goes to a candelabra near the entrance and says, "Amicitia," which I'm assuming is the thing's name, as it never explicitly has any other title. The thing shudders, it comes to life, along with many other things in the house, like Beauty and the Beast. The rest of the intro is her dashing through the house, doing various things with the animate objects before her parents come back. When they enter, everything's back to normal. The parents' faces are grim and menacing, looking down on her as if she's scum, while she looks over to the candelabra, now back in its proper place. As the view switches to the candelabra, the title appears across the bottom of the screen in a flowing cursive script. Going off the intro, there really doesn't seem to be anything wrong with the show. Sure, the glaring parents and sad title music is pretty weird, but nothing that hasn't been done before in television. As a kid, this show's whimsy while she played was entrancing. But watching it now, it bothers the hell out of me. The first episode, called Growing Pains, begins with Coradeen playing hide-and-seek with Amicitia and an unnamed red curtain. Nothing but the candelabra seems to have the name of the show, by the way. She finds Amicitia behind the stone bust of her father, who is a tall, dark-haired man with a widow's peak and a business suit. But she can't find her other friend. Her mom passes by and asks her to help remove some of the curtains around the house, while carrying the red one away. Sadly, Coradeen goes into a couple rooms to remove the curtains, each a different color from the last. How this works aesthetically, I don't know, but moving on. When she's finished, Amicitia asks why their friends are gone. Coradeen answers with, "They're going to a different home where they can be used better," in a way that says she's heard the same thing before about other things. Amicitia starts to cook up a plan to get the curtains back, and has Coradeen participate. The plan is to go to the room they're being brought to and steal them back to hang in Coradeen's room. While enacting this, however, they're caught by her father. Rather, she is, because Amicitia's in her room preparing the walls. He takes the curtains from her and shouts, "Why do you keep doing this? They're not real. They are not your friends." He proceeds to rip them apart, each rip punctuated by a yelled word. "You are too old to play make-believe!" He tosses the shreds to her feet, and an audible whimper is heard in the curtain's voice, followed by a fading breath. Coradeen begins crying and yells, "You killed them! Why did you do that?" Her father screams, "You are too old to play make-believe again," grabbing her viciously by the arm and taking her away. It cuts from her in the curtain room to her entering her own room, a red welt now visible on her face. Amicitia is nowhere to be seen at first, but comes out of the closet as Coradeen softly cries. The Candelabra sits next to her on the bed as the camera pans out, and the episode ends with her sitting near new, more lavish curtains, saying Amicitia over and over. The Candelabra is nowhere to be found, however. Her father enters, saying in a monotone, "It's time for your medication, Coradeen." Episode 7, Maddy's Garden, began with Coradeen's mother showing a group of important-looking people around the house. She converses about her family with these people, stopping by the stairs to shout, "Corey!" The only time a nickname is ever used for her. Coradeen walks calmly down the stairs, doing a small curtsy while wearing a light blue blouse and blue dress. Her mom tells the people, "This is Coradeen. She's 7 years old. She's very smart as well." She then says something to her daughter in a different language, and Coradeen responds in apparently the same language. The group claps to the advanced use of Latin, as stated by one of the men in the group. The same man asks about the garden, as the group is comprised of judges for a contest. They go to the back of the house, leaving Coradeen in the main landing. She walks over to Amicitia, but the scene goes back to her mother and the judges. They're all oohing and ahhing over the plants and flowers in the garden, while her mother walks around and talks about the various plants. This scene goes on for 10 whole minutes, way longer than it had to be. The judges deliberate, but finally reveal that she wins second place. She looks angry for a split second, but calmly takes a silver ribbon from the judges. The show cuts to a different house at a later point in the day. A blonde woman is tending to her garden when a silhouette appears behind her. The scene lasts for 30 seconds, with the silhouette slowly getting closer, before cutting to Coradeen watching on TV. It was a newscast about the missing first-place garden owner Maddy Pendleton, saying she'd gone missing the same day she won the ribbon. The committee that judged the contest appeared on the coverage, saying that the contest would be held in her memory in the future. The episode ends with Coradeen's mother tending to a freshly dug garden, each section marked off with a stake of wood decorated with pieces of the curtains from episode 1. She fertilizes the garden with pinkish red pellets from a bag, which I guess implies that Maddy is growing one last garden. This episode seems to be the least prepared, with a few lines of dialogue cut off at the end. It's also one of the two that doesn't involve Coradeen in the plot. And then there was episode 12, We All Screamed for Ice Cream. I hated this episode. I hated this episode so much. Coradeen and Amicitia are playing with a cooking set, making macaroni and cheese, which kind of resemble barf, but hey, she's 7, give her a break. Amicitia tastes it, and tells her that it's the best thing since ice cream. Coradeen doesn't know what ice cream is, being homeschooled and limited on TV time, as seen in episode 5. Amicitia tells her to go get some from the kitchen, where it's kept in the freezer. She goes to get it, but is stopped when her parents walk in, asking her to go away for a bit. She leaves as her parents argue about their marriage. Her father wants to have sex, which is startling enough to put in a children's show, but her mother doesn't want to. Frustrated, he exits the kitchen, slamming the door and going outside. The next 8 minutes are comprised of both Coradeen trying to bake new foods to emulate ice cream, and her trying to sneak into the kitchen to get some. Near the end of the episode, she tries again in the dead of night, finally getting the carton of vanilla from the freezer. As she opens it, her father walks in and sees her with the ice cream. He looks extremely angry for a moment, before his face switches to a calmer expression. He says, "Maybe you can help me with my problem. Your mother doesn't seem to want to help." He motions for her to follow, and they exit the room, Coradeen still carrying the ice cream. "If you help me, I'll let you in on a little secret." The camera stays in the kitchen, where you can hear Coradeen screaming in pain from the other room. It doesn't even sound like a voice actor at this point. It sounds like a real person in agony. After 2 minutes of her screaming, they come back, Coradeen with tears streaming down her face, and her father with a satisfied look on his face. He sits her down at the table with her ice cream, now covered in a red liquid, and tells her ice cream's always better with a cherry on top. The rest of the episode is her eating the barbaric dessert. I vomited after this episode. I almost didn't watch the last 2, but I made myself. Coradeen dies in the last 2 episodes, so I don't understand why they'd allow this on a children's show. This show is nothing but a portrayal of an abused daughter, bringing a new meaning to the term beaten like a red-headed stepchild. I'm actually glad the show is obscure as it is, so no one will accidentally stumble upon it. The tapes are currently under investigation by police because of the way the explicit material was portrayed, as well as my mother's friend David, since they can find no evidence that Spriggan TV ever existed, and are assuming he made the show until further notice. None of the people featured in the show's credits are real people, and there isn't a known animator who does animation similar to the show's. David had a daughter who died in 2003 at age 8, and was known to draw his holiday cards for people, using a style that was similar to the show's. The father in the show is strikingly similar to his own father.